We have a really interesting guest who's going to give us an insight into sort of caring for cats and dogs shortly. So we'll get the rundown. Obviously, if anything like me, you have obviously love all animals, and particularly sort of cats and dogs for sure. And we're going to sort of get more of an insight. Bridie Williams, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board. Can you give us a bit of an insight into what you do and what it involves?
Yeah, of course. So I'm the Rehoming and Welfare Manager at the London site of Battersea. I'm here today because we're celebrating 140 years of cats, looking after them. So in my day-to-day role, that's about us taking in cats, looking after them and providing the best cat welfare, and then looking for wonderful homes for them to go out into.
It's really interesting, and I mean, just out of interest, how do sort of like cats end up that way? I mean, congratulations on 140 years, by the way, as an organisation. That's amazing stuff. But what sort of happens? I mean, how do sort of cats end up like that? I'm sure that it's not one thing, but what's the rundown there?
Oh, right, coming into us. So there's as you say, there's a myriad of reasons why cats might come into our care. It can be from the fact that people are unable to look after their pets for various reasons. Maybe they're looking for rental properties and they're struggling to find somewhere to take the cats. That's why we do things such as pioneering with going to the government to work out ways to have pet-friendly properties and so on. There's just a wide range of reasons why cats come into us, and then once they come into us, we're looking at assessing them to make sure that we're looking for the right homes for them in the future.
Just out of interest, if it's okay to share, how do you sort of like assess the right home for them? Is there sort of a protocol in place in terms of where the cat can go from there?
Yes, there is. So we've got a wonderful feline behaviour and training team, and we work very closely with them. So cats come into us, we're looking at what their sort of natural temperaments are. Are they cats that are looking for, a sort of quieter home where they can just sit on someone's lap and have nice times cozying up in a warm home? Are they the sorts of cats that actually aren't looking for those domestic sorts of settings and would do better going to what we call one of our working cat homes? So they're sort of stables and farms, and that's where they maybe will help with the mouse population, and they can have that independence and just sort of ranging freely while also having shelter and food provided for them. It's actually quite, cats are wonderful, complex creatures, so what we're sort of doing is looking at them as individuals so that we can make sure that we match them to the right homes and they can flourish in them.
No, I find them really fascinating, cats. I think that, like you've said, the temperaments they have and just generally their behaviour is sort of quite fascinating in that sense, really. I mean, I don't know, sort of around, you mentioned they're domesticated. I probably outside the scope of the conversation, but if a cat's sort of, for example, not had any domestication, like for example, if a cat's been abandoned from an early age, can they then become domesticated? Is it possible for them to then sort of fit into, maybe go to a home where they can just live a more domesticated life, or the likelihood is they're going to have to sort of find a home that they can just run free type thing?
Well, this is where we're sort of, when they come into us, we do something where we call it ascertaining their sociability as such, because young cats, there's a socialization period with our kittens, and so you do need to catch them very young, because once they get to around 7 weeks of age, that's when their innate fear response starts kicking in, so they can then start being a bit alarmed by novel things, and that could be people. So if we sort of find that they're not comfortable around humans, what we can do is we can find them those homes with that more space for them to sort of go about freely. This is what we've learned over 140 years. It's just a complete learning thing all the time. I learn something new every week here. So we're always learning for better cat welfare and better ways of understanding their complex natures, and they're very subtle sometimes with their behaviours and the way that they show us that they're stressed and that. So we're sort of learning all the time how best to interact with them.
And what I mean, I know, Sam again, I find this topic really interesting, to be fair. I mean, if there's already cats living at the place, is that a factor as well? Like, for example, I mean, how the cats, obviously each cat's going to respond differently, but if there are already sort of a cat or cats, for example, at a property, is it harder for them to settle in? How does that sort of work? Yeah.
Yeah, so cats are naturally solitary as a species, so that does mean that they do like their own space and they can be quite territorial. So that's what we're looking at when we're assessing cats. Cats quite often can happily coexist and tolerate each other, but it's all about making sure that you're providing them the right environment for that. Some cats absolutely cannot live with other cats, and that's where coming to rescues like us, it can be really good because we can give you that information and we can match you. If you've already got a cat in the home, we can find you a cat that's going to be able to sort of move in with that cat and settle in, and we can give you all that sort of advice to introduce cats, because the most important thing is that beginning settling period and making sure that you're introducing them in the right way to give them the best chance at getting along. And it can be that it's better to sort of introduce a kitten into the home rather than another adult cat. It can be quite a stressful period if you're not doing it in the best way possible, because it can sort of have a lot of teething issues that way. So yeah, it is quite a complex thing having cats living with other cats.
Yeah, that's really interesting stuff. And I mean, just out of interest, is there a ballpark figure how many cats that you have at the moment, roughly, or how many cats generally are considered abandoned, they've got nowhere to go type thing?
So currently we've got, at the London site, we've got 189 cats. Across the 3 sites, I think it's around 213, 215. So we've always got plenty of cats that are looking for lovely new homes. We do also have cats waiting to come into us, so that's why we're always looking to get the cats assessed and health checked and so on as swiftly as possible to get them into their new homes. Sector-wide, there is a lot of need for cats at the moment, and we do have plenty of cats waiting to come into us. So if you are looking for a cat, we'd always recommend thinking rescue first and coming to places like Battersea.
Yeah, and just on that, could you give the listeners maybe some details where they can get more information and where they can sort of come in, and if they're sort of considering maybe taking a cat or adopting a cat, so to speak.
Yes, our rehoming team is always very keen to speak to people. So you can go to our website, which is battersea.org.uk, and that's got all the information around how to rehome cats from us and can get the ball started. It's also got some really fantastic information and advice. So if you do already have a pet, a cat or a dog, you can go there and sort of look about things that might make their lives even happier.
No, thanks for that. Thanks for your time, and here's to the next 140 years as well. So, fantastic work, and it's really interesting and informative speaking to you. So, thanks again for your time, and listeners got the details there if they're interested in sort of looking into it in more detail. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.